Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. If you're not new here, hi, welcome back. It's good to see you. So this is a reading for Pisces suns, or if you have significant Pisces placements and are needing a masculine energy to work with or balance within yourself, then this reading is for you. So Pisces, I already pulled your cards. Even though this is a sun reading, and so it's implying that there's like being asked to work with or balance masculine energies within yourself, I feel like Pisces right now, you may be in a very sort of like moon-centered or feminine energy kind of state right now. And I feel like there's a bit of heaviness in that, that the energy that you're in at the moment. And it is kind of like, I feel like, especially here with the context of the reading, the Two of Wands, but this to me is talking about almost like perhaps like a turbulent moon energy, right? Like what it is that you're feeling, your emotions. I feel like it has to do specifically with what you're trying to manifest. It kind of feels like, or just like a dream that you have. Because it kind of feels like you're the manifestation that you're trying to create, or if it's not, because it doesn't feel like a manifestation even, it almost feels like a subconscious desire, perhaps, something like that, or just like some aspect of your self that perhaps is not necessarily reaching the surface, or like not quite a physical reality yet, right? There's something about this energy where it's kind of like it's something that you desire, but it's not quite making it to your conscious awareness, perhaps. And so because of that, it's causing like turbulence and almost like perhaps difficulty, or just like a feeling of separation from something, right? And it may be manifesting itself in other ways in your life, but I feel like the root cause of it is there's some sort of hidden aspect that's not quite reaching the surface, but I feel like it is arriving. It's like, I feel like because Pisces, whatever it is that you're doing right now, like your masculine energies feel kind of like quite strong and actually quite productive is kind of how I'm seeing this, right? With the Ace of Swords, Temperance, and the Nine of Pentacles, I feel like despite this sort of moon hidden energy that you may be experiencing, there is still a productivity, or like the things that you're creating or the things that you're doing are still finding success, is kind of how I'm seeing this, perhaps through and like using this temperance energy, which is sort of like being patient, perhaps, right? Like tilling the soil is kind of how I'm getting it. Like you're doing a lot of like physical, perhaps practical things that are having success. However, it's just kind of like, despite all that, right? Like even if you are finding success in your physical life, there's almost like still something missing from that. And I feel like that's what's arriving for you with the moon of, the moon chariot, right? It's all of this moon energy, because I feel like if you just look at these colors with the purple, it's kind of like, I feel like there's something here, perhaps something like your dreams or something like that, because this tarot deck that I'm using is called the Mystical Dream Tarot. It's such a strange deck, and I feel like there's almost like this mystical experience type thing that you may be experiencing, but may not be necessarily consciously aware of it. It may not be reaching your consciousness. It may be, though, and it may be causing more confusion because of that. But I feel like it's wanting to bring this aspect, this moon chariot, because it's kind of like you may be getting answers in your dreams, but it may not be reaching your more logical or like conscious awareness type of thing, if that makes sense. So we're gonna start off. If I need to explain those, I will, but I'm just gonna move on to the actual reading part. So the first two cards here are the Can You Hear Me and the Moon Dance, right? Which is all of this sort of that moon energy that I was talking about, right? The moon dance to me talks about like being swayed, perhaps emotionally, right? Like feeling perhaps a bit like almost like at the mercy of some sort of energy that is beyond you, right? Like that's like perhaps just being really influenced by the moon or like by your emotions. It's like there's something there about feeling like out of control of your emotions, or that they're not within your awareness or something like that. I don't know. It's like there's something here about like, especially with the can you hear me? It's like I feel like there's something about a message or like something very specific that's not getting through to you, actually, because how I'm seeing this is actually like the faces in these pictures are not visible to me, right? Like it's like, but I feel like that's talking about you. It's like you're not seeing some aspect of perhaps yourself that is really important to identify, because here with the Liberty card, which is so interesting, the Liberty card, because this actually talks to me about the fact that there isn't liberty, right? That there's something that's caged, this dream. So I'm seeing this as being sort of like your waking state, right? Like your conscious state, whereas this is sort of your unconscious state. So, but there's a connection between those two things, right? With all the stars and the moon. But it's like in your conscious state, feeling like there's something missing because you're not seeing this thing that's caged, if that makes sense. Like you're going about your business, you're doing your thing, whatever it is, but there's something almost perhaps like, but I feel like on some level, right? Subconsciously, or like, I don't know what another way to phrase that. Perhaps like, perhaps intuitively, right? Intuition based. There's something here that is wanting to be freed or wanting to be looked at or wanting to be acknowledged. I want to say within yourself, that if you were to listen to that like nudge or intuition, it would actually free you from this sort of heavy energy, is kind of how this is feeling. And it kind of feels like it's kind of showing to me some aspect of what that might be about. Just because we have here with these, the open portal cards, the gods of love and the myth of the great mother. So there's something here about, because the gods of love, of course, it brings in a dichotomy, right? That there is sort of the blessings and the happiness and the joy that comes with love, but also sort of the heartbreak and the difficulty and the separation. Like those are the two sides of the coin, is kind of how this is feeling. With the Great Mother today, this one was kind of looking like broken glass, right? With these sort of like, I don't know. It just feels like broken glass. I don't know what that means, but it could also mean that there's like fracturing. There's also a lot of like past life energy in your reading just generally. So I feel like it could actually be related to like a past life heartbreak or something like that, or difficulty or whatever it is that is kind of wanting to be brought to your attention. So Pisces, I'm going to come back to these cards because I feel like they're very significant, and there's a specific example that I'm sort of getting with these cards, but I feel like it's going to be very specific to one of you. And so I'm going to talk about these cards and that specific experience more in the extended portion. So if you're interested in that, the link will be in the description, but I'm not going to go into that in sort of like this more general reading. So I will come back to this. But we're just going to go into the other cards. So the first card out here is you have the Spirit of Wands, which I really love because it's actually kind of looking like this is like your dream state, right? It was also kind of bringing in this idea of like in like Catholic churches, for example, when people light candles. I don't know what that practice is, so I can't really speak that much about it, but it's kind of like, I don't know, do people light candles for people who have passed, or is it like a prayer or something like that? Anyways, it's coming in with kind of all of that energy, but it feels more so like desire, right? Like something that you desire, that you're asking for, and it's like almost like a temple, right? You go there to pray for the thing that you want. And it's like, I don't even know, Pisces, if you, perhaps you are, perhaps you're very much aware of this thing that you want, is kind of how this is feeling, right? There's a general, or if it's like, you don't know the specifics maybe, but it's like, it's kind of like, you know it when you see it kind of energy, where it's like, it's just a very general thing that you are trying to manifest or create or bring into your life, but it's like, there's no specific details. It's like, you're just trying to get to a place, like, for example, like, that feels secure or that feels whatever, right? Like, and that this is kind of feeling like the prayers or the wishes that you're putting out into the universe. And then in the meantime, while you're sort of waiting for those things to come in, you have the Knight of Pentacles and the Eight of Pentacles, which is talking about like sort of diligently doing your work, or putting in the more practical steps in order to get yourself to that goal, right? So if it's like having a very secure, abundant life, or like having enough resources and all that, like putting in all of your hours, like doing a really good job in your work, manifesting a whole bunch of like perhaps financial or just security based things for yourself, right? But what's so interesting here is that there's kind of like, so you have here the Lovers card, which is really interesting because this one specifically in this deck talks about the fact that there's an interfering energy within this Lovers connection. So it doesn't have to be a specific partner. It could just be representing whatever it is that your dream is. Or it could be feeling something like whatever it is that you're creating feels like it's not quite right, or not quite the thing that you, like, there's still, even though you've perhaps achieved some level of success or security or whatever it is that this reading is talking about, it's like there's still something missing or something off about it. And it's like, you can't quite figure out what that is, or what, you can't quite pinpoint what that missing aspect is. And so that's why you're perhaps putting more effort into it or something like that. And there may be something here as well where it's kind of like, it might be something like, it feels very mindset based, right? Like how you're thinking about the problem, because you have here next the Lady of Swords and the Seven of Cups, which is so interesting. So the Lady of Swords and the Lovers came out together. So I feel like there may be sort of, it may actually be a feminine energy that's perhaps a mother, especially with the myth of the Great Mother here, with the fracturing. So it doesn't have to be that. It could just be a feminine energy or something like that. I don't know. I'm not going to elaborate too much on that because I feel like you're not necessarily aware of this influence, is kind of how this is feeling. I feel like you're not, this is the thing that's not consciously being seen by you, right? It's kind of like that's what's wanting to draw your attention to. And so it may even be like, if even as I'm saying this, there's some sort of feminine energy, perhaps your mother, who is whose influence has had perhaps a lasting effect on what it is that you've been trying to manifest. And it's like there's a disconnect there, because almost like this energy is interfering in some way, and it feels very subtle, and it's not saying at all that this energy, what I'm suggesting to you, is not at all that this person has any sort of malicious intent or anything like that, right? It's just kind of like something like their mindset, perhaps, right? Their mindset, or the way that they think about whatever it is, what success is, for example, doesn't match yours, right? It doesn't match your idea of success. And so because of that, perhaps what it is that you've been working on, right, is with all of this sort of practical energy, what it is that you've been working on or dreaming or like putting all of your energy into, perhaps is a result of their I don't know, habits or their mindset or their idea of success is kind of how this is feeling. And so it's like, because you're perhaps modeling your, modeling your work after them, it's interfering with it. It's like, there's something here with the Seven of Cups, because this card talks about fantasy or unrealistic expectations about a certain situation, right? It's like there's something here, especially because it's coming out like this. This is this idea where it's kind of like what it is that you have manifested perhaps doesn't match your ideal or most beneficial perhaps, or like far out there fantasy that you want, is kind of how this is feeling, right? There's some sort of mismatch between what it is that you actually want and what it is that you have, because perhaps of this influence, the Lady of Swords, which is really interesting. And so what's coming out next here is that these three cards came out to clarify that. You have the Three of Cups, the Knight of Swords, and the Four of Cups, which is so interesting because the Four of Cups talks about sort of like it's kind of like a disappointment energy, or like what it is that you have isn't quite the thing that you want. And so there's a disappointment or something like that. And it's like, what I'm seeing here is that the Knight of Swords, it's like actually taking action towards the thing that you do want, which is the Three of Cups, right? So some sort of like the Three of Cups being, I feel like it's just talking about more of like an upbeat or celebratory or more fun or playful kind of energy. There's something here about like perhaps where you are now is a bit too serious, or it's not playful enough, or it's just heavier, right? It's just really heavy. And it's like, well, I don't know. It just feels like you're being prompted because of this situation. You're being prompted to take action towards something that's lighter and more fun and more in alignment, perhaps just like, it's like you're taking a break from work and going and hanging out with your friends or something like that. Something perhaps that feels unrelated to what it is that you've been building, but actually perhaps will reveal something that you actually do want to create, but perhaps weren't seeing that aspect because you were following too rigid of a routine or something like that that would not allow for this possibility, is kind of how this is feeling. Because the next few cards to come out here, you have here the House of Flowers, which I love, because this is talking about, like, this card came out after the Liberty card. So it's like, again, this Liberty card is talking about like subconsciously, I feel like subconsciously you are being directed towards something that's more positive or more in alignment with your, what it is that you desire. But it's like the actual conscious desire of it is not clear to you, right? It's like there's some aspect that's not reaching your consciousness, and it's almost like it has to appear in your physical in order for you to be like, aha, that's what I want, if that makes sense. So that's what this is talking about. Whereas if you follow your intuition or your whatever it is, like your guidance or something like that, it's going to lead you to this thing that you want that you weren't seeing, right? It's like, you know it when you see it, is kind of how this is feeling. So an example of this is like, there was this one summer that I had where I was just like I was living downtown, I was exploring the city, and it was like, I would go out and walk for like hours and hours. Just every day I would walk for at least like, I want to say like 2 to 4 hours, just exploring the city. I know why I was doing that, but at the time I didn't realize what it was I was doing. Anyways, I just needed to move, right? It's that kind of impulse where I feel like for you Pisces, there may be this sort of impulse that you need to move or you need to do something with the Knight of Swords. You need to take some sort of action, even if consciously you're not aware of why you're doing that, if that makes sense. It's because it's trying to lead you to this thing, the House of Flowers. So anyways, in that summer, I would walk for hours just going through like all the green spaces, right? I was obsessed with gardens at that time, right? Like green spaces, parks. I just wanted to be in nature in that summer. That was also coincidentally, well, not coincidentally, it wasn't a coincidence at all. It's when I discovered tarot, right? I was doing a lot of like writing, poetry, but also manifestation through poetry, that kind of thing, and also exploring tarot at the same time. So anyways, that's what this energy is. It's like there's something prompting you into action, perhaps a hidden or subconscious desire for you to move towards something. And it's like you have to be able to see it in order for you to know it, because right now it's been trying to get into your conscious awareness, but it hasn't been reaching you because perhaps something like with this Lady of Swords, some sort of like mindset that you have perhaps that is preventing that new inspiration or eureka moment from reaching you, right? It's like your mindset, or it doesn't have to be mindset, something that you're doing perhaps routinely, like your routine is interfering with this new thing that is more in alignment with you. And so it's almost like you're being prompted to step out of your routine or step out of some sort of rigid thinking even in order to like come across this House of Flowers. Anyway, I keep getting distracted by like, I'm trying to tell this story of like when I went, perhaps that's not related then, I don't know. But it's like that one summer, I stumbled upon this house. It's a museum in sort of like the upper parts of Toronto that I didn't know existed before. But it's like I went in there and it almost felt, it was like this very tiny museum with a really gorgeous garden. And I went there and I just sat there for a couple hours and it just felt incredibly magical. And I feel like that's what this is talking about, that's what this energy is. I remember what it was that was coming through with this. Is that there's perhaps a place or an energy that you're going to be coming across that feels like exactly what it is that you need. So how it's coming through is almost like the room of requirement in Harry Potter, if you're familiar with the story of like the room of requirement is this hidden room in the castle that if you walk if you walk across that room 3 times back and forth with a very strong desire, it will open and reveal exactly what you need, right? So it's like if you need some place to hide or if you need some place to whatever it is, it's like this room will transform into what it is that you desire. And so that garden for me was basically like just like this calm, peaceful refuge, but also almost like a manifestation of like a very future dream for me that like it was basically like something out of my dream was appearing in the physical reality. And I feel like there's something like that happening for you, especially because the Seven of Cups, right? It's like talking about the fact that there may be something that you're dreaming about or wanting to create or whatever, but perhaps some aspect of yourself or your mindset is telling you that's not possible. That's an unrealistic expectation. That's like a fantasy. It would never happen in real life. That's kind of how this card is coming through. But it's kind of like that's the energy that is causing this heartbreak and the moon energy, the heaviness, because it's almost like you're killing your own dream is kind of how this is feeling. And it's wanting you to, that's what's having to come to an end, because with this portal for the red moon, I feel like you may be stumbling upon an event or a thing or something's going to appear to you in your very physical life that may appear like a happy accident or like a serendipitous moment or something like that, that actually reveals to you that your dream is possible, is kind of how this is feeling. it's an accident or like something totally unexpected, but that once you see it, you're like, that's the thing. That's exactly what I was dreaming about, but I couldn't like articulate it. I couldn't communicate it. I didn't know, because you hadn't seen it before. You hadn't had the, perhaps, like it wasn't reaching your consciousness, if that makes sense. It wasn't reaching this aspect, the logical thinking mind, because perhaps all of our conditioning tells us that it's not possible, right? That kind of thing. So it's like something is appearing to you in your physical manifested reality that's revealing exactly the thing that you need, or that you've been dreaming of but couldn't express. It's, which I love these cards that are coming out next. The Four of Wands and the Four of Pentacles. If you've seen me use this deck before, this onion card is my favorite card in this deck because it's so practical. It's right there. Everyone knows what this is. And it's like, as soon as you see it, you're going to know that that's the thing that you've been dreaming of, that you weren't aware of, the thing that you were missing. It's the thing that you were missing, absolutely. And it's like showing you that your dream, this thing that you've been working towards, is absolutely possible. Not only is it possible, is it's real, it's here, it's there. All you need to do is kind of, it's like, I feel like there is just, it's almost like releasing some sort of mindset that it's not possible, because I feel like there's, what it is that you're trying to manifest is absolutely possible. Not only that, is that it's going to appear to you very physically, right? It's not just in your dreams. It's very physical kind of arrival is kind of how this is feeling. And it's especially with the Four of Cups. So you have you have 3 fours in a row, right? Like Four of Wands, Four of Pentacles, Four of Cups. But this one is talking to me about like fate or divine timing, that kind of thing, especially with the Ten of Pentacles. So this talks to me about so much, right? It's like talking about like legacy, but also it's all of this past lives energy. So it could be something like your past life, something that you had in your past life, perhaps, that wasn't being remembered by you. And it's like, now that thing is coming back into your life, right? And it's like, that's what I was missing. That's what I was like needing, or it's like the key to your dreams or something like that. Anyways, Pisces, I'm going to end it there. We're going to move to the extended and talk about what else you may need to know about this situation. If you're interested, the link is in the description box below. If this message resonated with you, please consider subscribing, liking, or leaving a comment. Thank you so much for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day.